Do you remember the feeling of sitting in a movie theater in 1980 Plaisance when the big screen displayed The Empire Strikes Back and John Williams' epic score filled the air? Or maybe you watched this film later. But you still can't forget the shock when Darth Vader said, "I am your father," to Luke Skywalker. The Empire Strikes Back wasn't just an outstanding movie, but also a cultural phenomenon that shaped an entire generation. Released on May 21st, 1982. This was the second part in the original Star Wars trilogy. Many critics consider it the best part of the entire saga. The film made over $500 million worldwide and became the movie phenomenon of the 80s. But what truly created the lasting appeal of The Empire Strikes Back was its talented cast, from Mark Hamill as the thoughtful Luke Skywalker, to Harrison Ford's cool but charming Han Solo, to Carrie Fisher's strong Princess Leia. We can't forget Billy D. Williams' smooth Lando, or James Earl Jones' powerful voice behind Darth Vader's mask. But have you ever wondered, 45 years after this classic film came out, what happened to the lives of those actors who created this legend? What ups and downs did they go through in their careers? Who's still working in movies? Who has retired? And sadly, who has passed away? In 1980, they were rising stars, or already loved by audiences. But The Empire Strikes Back changed each person's life in completely different ways. Some became Hollywood legends. Others faded away. And there were surprising stories we might never have known about, from the glamorous days on red carpets to the challenges of getting older, from brilliant successes to fights with sickness and hard times. Each actor has their own story worth telling. And now, in 2025, looking back, we see that time has left deep marks on every face, every life. Join us as we travel back to 1980. Then step into 2025 to discover the amazing journey of those who created this timeless masterpiece. Remember that unforgettable moment when Superman renounced his powers in the Fortress of Solitude, emerging as a vulnerable man willing to sacrifice everything for love? That scene showcased Christopher Reeve at his absolute finest. A performance that embodied both the godlike hero and the achingly human man within. In 1980, Christopher Reeve was 28 years old, standing tall at 6 feet 4 inches with the kind of chiseled jawline that seemed carved by the gods themselves. His dark hair and piercing blue eyes made him the perfect embodiment of the all-American hero. Before donning the red cape, Reeve had been classically trained at Juilliard, where he studied alongside Robin Williams. His theater background gave him a gravitas that elevated Superman beyond mere comic book adaptation into something approaching modern mythology. The success of Superman 2 catapulted Reeve into international stardom, but he was determined not to be typecast. He deliberately chose challenging roles that stretched his acting abilities, from the romantic drama Somewhere in Time to the psychological thriller Death Trap. His commitment to serious acting earned him respect in theatrical circles, though he could never completely escape Superman's shadow. Then came May 27, 1995, a date that changed everything. During an equestrian competition in Virginia, Reeve's horse stopped suddenly at a fence, throwing him forward. The impact shattered his first and second vertebrae, leaving him paralyzed from the neck down and dependent on a ventilator to breathe. The man who had made the world believe in flight was suddenly earthbound in the most tragic way imaginable. But Christopher Reeve's greatest role was yet to come. He transformed his personal tragedy into a beacon of hope for others facing similar challenges. He became a powerful advocate for spinal cord research, establishing the Christopher Reeve Foundation and lobbying Congress for increased funding. His courage in the face of unthinkable adversity inspired millions worldwide. Tragically, Christopher Reeve passed away on October 10, 2004, at the age of 52, due to complications from an infection. His legacy extends far beyond the silver screen. He remains a symbol of hope, determination, and the belief that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things. The foundation he established continues its vital work today, funding research that has brought us closer to treating spinal cord injuries. In death, as in life, Christopher Reeve proved that real heroism isn't about superpowers. It's about rising to meet impossible challenges with grace and unwavering hope. Who could forget Lois Lane's fearless determination as she dangled from a helicopter high above Metropolis? Or her tender vulnerability when she finally learned Superman's true identity? Margot Kidder brought an intelligence and strength to Lois Lane that made her far more than just a damsel in distress. She was Superman's intellectual equal and emotional anchor. In 1980, at 32 years old, Margot Kidder possessed a striking beauty that was both accessible and sophisticated. Her Canadian background and theater training gave her a naturalness that American audiences found refreshing. With her flowing dark hair and expressive eyes, she embodied the modern working woman, ambitious, independent, and unafraid to pursue the truth, no matter where it led. Before Superman, Kidder had already made her mark in horror cinema with her chilling performance in Brian De Palma's Carrie and the cult classic Black Christmas. Her ability to convey both vulnerability and fierce determination made her the perfect choice for Lois Lane. The chemistry between Kidder and Christopher Reeve was electric, forming the emotional heart of both Superman films. Following Superman 2, Kidder's career took various turns through independent films and television work. However, her personal life became increasingly turbulent during the 1,990 seconds. She struggled with bipolar disorder, which led to a highly publicized breakdown in 1996 when she was found disheveled and paranoid in someone's backyard. The media coverage was often cruel and sensationalized, turning her mental health struggles into tabloid fodder. But Margot Kidder was made of the same strong stuff as the character she portrayed. She sought treatment, became an advocate for mental health awareness, and continued working steadily in film and television. She also became politically active, participating in environmental causes and anti-war protests, bringing the same fearless commitment to activism that she had brought to journalism as Lois Lane. Sadly, Margot Kidder passed away on May 13, 2018, at the age of 69. Her death was ruled a suicide, the final chapter in her long battle with mental illness. Yet her legacy lives on, not just as the definitive Lois Lane, but as someone who fought bravely against personal demons and used her platform to help others facing similar struggles. She remains beloved by fans worldwide as the woman who proved that sometimes the reporter gets the best story of all and wins Superman's heart in the process. Kneel before Zod. 3 words that sent chills down the spines of moviegoers and established one of cinema's most memorable villains. Terrence Stamp's portrayal of General Zod was a masterclass in controlled menace, bringing an aristocratic disdain and cold intelligence to the Kryptonian warlord that made him Superman's most formidable foe. At 42 years old in 1980, Terrence Stamp cut an imposing figure with his piercing blue eyes, angular features, and silver-white hair. The British actor brought decades of classical training and an already impressive filmography to the role. His distinctive voice, cultured and commanding, I could shift from silky persuasion to thunderous rage in a single breath. Stamp understood that the best villains believe themselves to be the hero of their own story. And he played Zod with the conviction of a deposed ruler seeking rightful justice. Long before terrorizing Metropolis, Stamp had already established himself as one of Britain's premier actors. His breakthrough came in 1965 with The Collector, which earned him a Cannes Film Festival Best Actor award and an Academy Award nomination. He followed this with memorable performances in Far From the Madding Crowd and the cult classic The Limey. His theatrical background and striking appearance made him a natural choice for both leading men and compelling villains. After Superman 2, Stamp's career flourished across multiple decades. He became a master of reinvention, moving seamlessly between blockbusters and art house films. Notable performances included the mysterious Wilson in Steven Soderbergh's The Limey, the flamboyant Bernadette in The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and Supreme Chancellor Valorum in Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. His ability to disappear into vastly different roles showcased his remarkable range. In 2025, at 87 years old, Terence Stamp remains active and sharp as ever. Unlike many actors of his generation, he has embraced aging gracefully, continuing to work well into his 80s. His recent appearances in films like The Limehouse Golem and various television projects prove that his commanding presence has only intensified with time. He has never married but has maintained long-term relationships and friendships throughout the industry. Stamp's longevity in Hollywood speaks to his professionalism and adaptability. He represents a dying breed of actor, classically trained, dignified, and committed to the craft above all else. While General Zod may have demanded that Superman kneel, Terence Stamp has never bowed to the pressures of fame, maintaining his integrity and artistic vision throughout a career spanning over 6 decades. Picture the scene: Lex Luthor, standing in his underground lair, orchestrating elaborate schemes with the casual confidence of a man who considers himself the smartest person in any room. Gene Hackman's portrayal brought a sophisticated menace to Superman's greatest enemy, balancing intellectual arrogance with unexpected moments of dark humor. In 1980, at 50 years old, Gene Hackman was already a Hollywood heavyweight with an Academy Award under his belt. His weathered features and intense eyes could convey both everyman relatability and dangerous unpredictability. Unlike the comic book version of Lex Luthor, Hackman's interpretation was a criminal mastermind who relied on cunning rather than corporate power, making him a perfect foil for Superman's moral certainty. Hackman's journey to Lex Luthor began in the theater and television before his breakthrough film role in Bonnie and Clyde in 1967. His Oscar-winning performance as Detective Jimmy Popeye Doyle in The French Connection established him as one of the finest character actors of his generation. By the time he accepted the role of Lex Luthor, he was known for bringing psychological complexity to every character, no matter how seemingly straightforward. The Superman films represented a departure for Hackman, who was more accustomed to gritty dramas and thrillers. However, he embraced the comic book elements while grounding Luthor in recognizable human motivations: greed, jealousy, and an obsessive need to prove his superiority. His chemistry with Christopher Reeve created a classic hero-villain dynamic that elevated both characters. Following Superman 2, Hackman continued his remarkable career with acclaimed performances in Hoosiers, Mississippi Burning, Unforgiven, and The Royal Tenenbaums. He became known as an actor's actor, someone who could disappear completely into a role regardless of genre. His 2 Academy Awards and multiple nominations reflected his consistent excellence over decades. In a surprise move that shocked Hollywood, Gene Hackman announced his retirement from acting in 2004 at the age of 74. Unlike many actors who claim retirement only to return, Hackman has remained true to his word. Now, 95 years old in 2025, He has spent his golden years writing novels, painting, and enjoying a quiet life away from the spotlight. Hackman's decision to walk away at the height of his powers remains admirable in an industry where many struggle to know when to exit gracefully. His portrayal of Lex Luthor helped establish the template for comic book movie villains: intelligent, sophisticated, and driven by relatable human flaws. His legacy as one of America's greatest character actors remains secure, built on a foundation of memorable performances that continue to inspire new generations of actors. Remember the chilling moment when Ursa crushed a man's hand without flinching, her cold eyes showing nothing but disdain for human weakness? Sarah Douglas brought a terrifying elegance to Superman's most dangerous female adversary, creating a character who was both beautiful and absolutely ruthless. In 1980, at 28 years old, Sarah Douglas possessed an otherworldly beauty that perfectly suited a Kryptonian warrior. Her striking features, high cheekbones, piercing eyes, and regal bearing made her convincingly alien yet undeniably magnetic. Her English background and classical training allowed her to deliver Ursa's contemptuous dialogue with an aristocratic coldness that made every word feel like a threat. Before joining General Zod's criminal trio, Douglas had been working steadily in British television and film. Her theater background helped her understand how to project menace without resorting to scenery-chewing, making Ursa's quiet intensity far more unsettling than bombastic villainy would have been. She understood that Ursa's hatred of men wasn't just a character trait, it was a driving force that made her Superman's most personal enemy. The success of Superman 2 should have launched Douglas into major stardom. But Hollywood's limited vision for women in genre films meant fewer opportunities than her male co-stars received. She continued working steadily, appearing in horror films like The Return of the Living Dead and various television projects. Her ability to play both villains and sympathetic characters showcased her range, though she never again found a role as memorable as Ursa. Throughout the 1,980 seconds and 1,990 seconds, Douglas became a familiar face in science fiction and horror projects. She appeared in V, the series, as the alien commander Pamela, bringing the same cold intelligence that made Ursa so effective. Her work in genre television kept her connected with fans who appreciated her unique screen presence. In 2025, at 73 years old, Sarah Douglas continues to work occasionally while enjoying a quieter life. She remains a beloved figure at comic book conventions, where fans celebrate her contribution to Superman mythology. Her portrayal of Ursa broke ground for complex female villains in superhero cinema, proving that women could be just as threatening as their male counterparts without relying on seduction or manipulation. Douglas represents a generation of actors who helped establish the credibility of comic book adaptations. Her commitment to treating Ursa as a real character rather than a cartoon villain contributed to Superman 2's lasting impact. While Hollywood may not have given her the leading roles she deserved, her legacy as one of cinema's most memorable female villains remains unshakable. The imposing figure of Non, silent, massive, and utterly destructive, brought a physical menace to General Zod's trio that words could never convey. Jack O'Halloran's towering presence and expressive face created a character who communicated pure malevolence without speaking a single line of dialogue. Standing 6 feet 6 inches tall and weighing over 250 pounds in 1980, O'Halloran was 37 years old when he stepped into Non's boots. His massive frame and naturally intimidating presence made him perfect for the role of Zod's enforcer. What many didn't know was that beneath this gentle giant's imposing exterior lay the heart of a former professional boxer who had shared the ring with legendary fighters. Before becoming Non, O'Halloran had pursued a professional boxing career, fighting as a heavyweight in the 1,960 seconds and early 1970 seconds. His ring experience taught him how to use his physical presence effectively, skills that translated perfectly to his acting career. He understood how to be intimidating without overacting, letting his sheer size and controlled movements speak louder than any dialogue could. O'Halloran's transition from boxing to acting wasn't uncommon, but his success in both fields was notable. He appeared in Farewell, My Lovely alongside Robert Mitchum, and had roles in various television shows throughout the 1970 seconds. His casting as Non represented his biggest break, though the character's silence meant his performance was entirely physical. The challenge of playing Non lay in conveying intelligence and menace without words. O'Halloran succeeded by making every gesture deliberate and meaningful. His interactions with Zod showed both loyalty and barely contained violence, while his encounters with humans revealed contempt for their weakness. His final battle with Superman became a showcase for controlled brutality. After Superman 2, O'Halloran continued working in film and television, often cast in roles that utilized his imposing presence. He appeared in projects ranging from action films to comedies, proving his versatility beyond the silent villain role. His later career included appearances in Dragnet and various television movies. Sadly, Jack O'Halloran passed away on April 15, 2022, at the age of 78. His death marked the end of an era for Superman fans, as one of the last surviving members of Zod's criminal trio left us. Throughout his later years, he remained gracious with fans and proud of his contribution to Superman mythology. O'Halloran's legacy extends beyond his role as Non. He represented the best of character actors, professionals who understood that every role, no matter how small or dialogue-free, deserved complete commitment. His portrayal of Non proved that sometimes the most powerful performances require no words at all, just the courage to embody pure, controlled menace. Great Caesar's ghost, Perry White's exasperated exclamation became a trademark phrase, delivered with perfect timing by Jackie Cooper, who brought both authority and warmth to the role of the Daily Planet's demanding but fair editor-in-chief. In 1980, at 58 years old, Jackie Cooper was a Hollywood veteran with a career spanning over 5 decades. His silver hair and distinguished bearing made him the perfect embodiment of a seasoned newspaper editor, while his expressive face could shift from thunderous anger to paternal concern in a heartbeat. What made Cooper's casting particularly remarkable was his unique position as one of the few former child stars to successfully transition into a respected adult career. Cooper's journey to Perry White began in the 1930 seconds, when he became America's most famous child actor, earning an Academy Award nomination at age 9 for Skippy. His experience growing up in Hollywood gave him an understanding of the industry that few actors possessed. By the time he joined Superman, he had successfully reinvented himself multiple times as a teen actor, a veteran, a television director, and finally, as a character actor specializing in authority figures. His portrayal of Perry White drew from decades of observation and experience. Cooper understood that effective leaders combine tough expectations with genuine care for their team. His Perry White wasn't just a boss shouting deadlines. He was a mentor who saw potential in Clark Kent and believed in Lois Lane's abilities as a reporter. Following Superman 2, Cooper continued his successful television career, appearing in numerous TV movies and series. His work as a director on shows like MAS×H and The White Shadow demonstrated his versatility behind the camera. He became known in the industry as a consummate professional who brought both technical expertise and emotional intelligence to every project. Cooper's later years were marked by continued productivity and industry respect. He worked steadily through the 1990 seconds, often playing judges, officials, and other authority figures who required both gravitas and humanity. His ability to make exposition feel natural and bureaucratic characters sympathetic made him a valuable character actor well into his 70s. Jackie Cooper passed away on May 3, 2011, at the age of 88, leaving behind a remarkable legacy that spanned the entire history of American cinema, from silent films to talkies, from child star to respected character actor and director. Cooper's career represented the best of Hollywood adaptability and professionalism. His Perry White remains the definitive portrayal of Superman's boss, a man who understood that great newspapers, like great superheroes, are built on a foundation of truth, integrity, and unwavering commitment to doing what's right. Cooper's performance reminded audiences that not all heroes wear capes. Sometimes they wear suspenders and shout about deadlines while secretly caring more than they ever let on. Young Jimmy Olsen, with his eager smile and trusty camera, represented the everyman's entry point into Superman's world. Mark McClure brought an infectious enthusiasm to the role, making Jimmy both endearingly naive and surprisingly resourceful when the situation demanded heroism from an ordinary guy. At 23 years old in 1980, Mark McClure possessed the youthful energy and earnest charm that made Jimmy Olsen believable as both a cub reporter and Superman's unofficial sidekick. His boy-next-door appearance and natural comedic timing allowed him to provide moments of levity without undermining the film's dramatic stakes. McClure understood that Jimmy's function wasn't just comic relief. He was the audience's representative in a world of gods and monsters. Before joining the Daily Planet, McClure had been building his career with small television roles and supporting parts in films. His breakthrough came with his role in the horror classic Carrie, where he played Tommy Ross, the kind-hearted boy who takes Carrie to prom. This performance demonstrated his ability to play genuinely decent characters without falling into blandness, a skill that would serve him well as Jimmy Olsen. McClure's Jimmy Olsen was refreshingly free from the bumbling stereotype that often plagued the character in other media. While maintaining Jimmy's enthusiasm and occasional naivety, McClure infused him with real courage and loyalty. His scenes with Christopher Reeve showed a genuine friendship that extended beyond the professional relationship between reporter and photographer. The success of Superman 2 led to steady work for McClure throughout the 1980 seconds and beyond. He appeared in the Back to the Future trilogy as Dave McFly, Marty's older brother, showcasing his ability to play supporting roles that enhanced the main story without stealing focus. His work in genre films made him a familiar face to science fiction and fantasy fans. McClure's career choices reflected a pragmatic approach to Hollywood success, rather than chasing leading roles. He became a reliable character actor who could be counted on to deliver professional performances in both major studio productions and independent films. His work in the later Superman films maintained continuity for the franchise, while allowing him to develop Jimmy's character further. In 2025, at 68 years old, Mark McClure continues to work occasionally, while enjoying a quieter life away from the Hollywood spotlight. He remains active in fan conventions, where he's warmly received by audiences who grew up watching his portrayal of Jimmy Olsen. His continued friendship with his Superman co-stars, particularly his close relationship with the late Christopher Reeve, speaks to the genuine bonds formed during the production. McClure's legacy as Jimmy Olsen represents something valuable in modern superhero cinema, the reminder that ordinary people have an important place in extraordinary stories. His performance proved that supporting characters could be memorable without being quirky or over the top, simply by being genuinely human and relatable. From the soaring heights of 1980 to the reflective perspective of 2025, the journey of Superman 2's cast reads like a classic tale of triumph, tragedy, and the inexorable passage of time, these actors didn't just portray comic book characters, they became part of our collective mythology. Their performances etched into the memories of countless fans worldwide. Christopher Reeve's transformation from the Man of Steel to a real-world hero fighting for spinal cord research reminds us that true strength isn't measured in superpowers, but in the courage to face impossible odds with grace. Margot Kidder's battle with mental illness and her advocacy work proved that vulnerability and strength often walk hand in hand. Terrence Stamp's continued vitality at 87 shows us that talent and professionalism can create a legacy that transcends any single role. The losses we've mourned: Reeve, Kidder, O'Halloran, and Cooper serve as poignant reminders that even our heroes are mortal. Yet their contributions live on, not just in the films they made, but in the inspiration they provided to future generations of actors and fans. Gene Hackman's graceful retirement and Mark McClure's steady professionalism demonstrate different but equally valid approaches to a life in the spotlight. Time has been both kind and cruel to these performers. Some found continued success and happiness, while others faced challenges that would have broken lesser spirits. What unites them all is their shared participation in something larger than themselves, a film that helped establish the template for modern superhero cinema and proved that comic book adaptations could achieve genuine artistic merit. The silver screen may have captured their younger selves forever, but their real stories, filled with love, loss, courage, and human complexity, prove far more compelling than any fictional narrative. Whether bathed in continued acclaim or facing personal struggles away from the cameras, each of these actors contributed something irreplaceable to our cultural landscape. As we look back across these 45 years, we're reminded that fame is fleeting, beauty fades, and even the strongest among us must eventually face mortality. But some things endure. The power of great storytelling, the magic of exceptional performances, and the way certain films become touchstones that help define who we are and what we believe in. Superman 2 and its remarkable cast remain an indelible part of cinema history, and no amount of time can diminish the wonder they brought to our lives.